What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Odin, coming to you with another video, and today we're going to be talking mostly about Aquaman. But before we get to the incredible Aquaman news and about how it just broke $1 billion at the box office, yeah, that's right, take that, you Collider knuckleheads, we have to talk about, of course, the box office breakdown for the weekend. And the interesting narrative here is the fact that Aquaman has finally been pushed off. And it's by a film called The Upside, which many of you probably have not even heard of, but you've probably seen a trailer for it, even though that is, it is what it is. However, The Upside has indeed beat it by about $2 million, at least this is according to the weekend estimates, and I would say that probably makes the most sense to me. And again, this is just domestically, this is not worldwide, seeing that The Upside likely would not do well in other markets. But the Aquaman movie looks like it's lost about 44.3%, Upside takes in about 19.5%. Dog's Way Home, new film released this week, made 11.3%, which I think is respectful for that kind of movie. And Replicas, the other new release this week, only made 2.5%. So not looking very good for the new Keanu Reeves film, but let's dive into some of the numbers. So when we look to The Upside, there really isn't a whole lot much at this point. It was a production budget of $37.5, which is actually a little bit higher than I would have suspected for this kind of a movie, but it does star Kevin Hart, which I think is the big narrative of this movie, is the fact that you have a movie coming in at number one with Kevin Hart, and that is after all of the Oscars fiasco. That's right, no matter what you try and say, no matter what narrative you try and push, to try and put a man's career down, to put someone away forever, after the entire Oscars nonsense about his so-called homophobic comments, etc., you have a man here who's still able to bring in money. Now, is this huge Kevin Hart type money that we normally see? Not necessarily, but still, it was enough to knock off Aquaman, which means it is definitely worth talking about. Domestically, it's the only number that we have right now because this is a film that is definitely going to be an American-centric film, not really a film that's going to appeal to non-American audiences. So I'm sure we'll get a worldwide total soon, but overall, still not quite exactly what, most people are going to be wanting to see. But still, cannot deny the fact that it's doing so much better than so many people suspected that it would, nonetheless. So good on you, Kevin Hart, for making a good movie, rather making a movie that's going to make money, even though the critics are going after you because of, stupid reasons. Another movie that came out this weekend is a movie that I kind of want to see because I love dogs, and just look at that cute little puppy. And that's A Dog Ways Home. Very similar. I think that this film might have a little bit more universal appeal than The Upside, since it is about dogs, and dogs are universally loved by all. If you don't love dogs, then just get out of here. But this came in with $11.3 million with an $18 million budget, which is amazing. As I said before, the fact that this is an $18 million movie, The Upside is a $37.5 million movie. I guess it's because of the people involved in the project, maybe. I mean, Ashley Judd is in this, versus here you have Bryan Cranston, Kevin Hart, and Nicole Kidman. So maybe that's what's going on here. It's really hard to say. The other film that came out is Replicas, which has probably one of the worst grosses that I've ever seen in my life, with $2.5 million coming in. This is from Entertainment Studios, and this is definitely a Keanu Reeves paycheck movie, where it's getting terrible reviews from both audiences and critics alike. And it's a film that I just have no real desire to see. Even though I love me some Keanu Reeves, I'd rather just wait to go see him in John Wick Chapter 3, which is coming out this year, because that looks so much better. But the movie that we're going to be talking about today, and the one that's the biggest story of the weekend, overshadowing, even though it didn't win the domestic totals this weekend, that doesn't matter, because this film has crossed the $1 billion mark. This is now a film that's in, basically, it's in a category of only 40 other films in the entire history of films in general, as far as how much money this has made. The $1 billion club is not a very common club for many films to make, but James Wan has entered it because of the fun movie that he made in Aquaman. As I've said constantly before, overall, I was not a huge fan of it. Gave it a C+. It was, okay. It was decent. But still, I also was able to understand this is still a fun world, and also it is not a political one either. And I think that's very important. It's interesting how they decided to cast this movie, and how so many people are going to be trying to say, oh, well, it's not as good as it could be, oh, but if it had a more diverse cast, oh my God, then I would love it. It's so funny because you guarantee, no question in my mind, if this cast, if this movie had more diversity in it, people would have given it higher rankings. It really is sad that we live in the current state where critics, just look at the Rotten Tomatoes score here. 64% of critics liked it. 50-50 when you do the so-called top critics. It's amazing to me that they'll go ahead and give this kind of a movie such a bad rating. However, we see the audiences much higher and still does not take away the fact that, boom, this film was made over $1 billion, so all those critics can just go and suck it. But it is interesting, nonetheless, that these critics would have definitely given this film a higher score had there been more diversity, because when you actually look at some of the critic ratings, when you actually look and see what they're saying, oftentimes it's basically them just trying to make up an excuse because a film isn't producing as diverse of a film and a diverse of a cast as they think it should. So they'll just come up with random things like, but oh, those action sequences, this is what the Tron sequel should have looked and sounded like, but you gave it a 1 out of 5. Okay? Through it all, Jason Momoa tosses off coyly bluff one-liners with understated humor that goes to waste in this bloated and sludgy movie. But if that cast was diverse, you would have said something completely different. It's interesting how you say that about this, but I guarantee you that your ranking for Black Panther is probably exponentially higher, because not only did Black Panther win a Golden Tomato Award because it was the highest rated film of the year, but when you ask anybody, why is it an important movie? Why is it a movie that should be getting all this kind of love and attention? It's because of that diverse cast, even though it's actually the opposite of diversity, because if you have a majority of one particular race or demographic in there, is that really diversity? But anyway, that's just my own thought. What are y'all's thoughts on this? Boom, Aquaman has indeed crossed that $1 billion mark. What are y'all's thoughts on the upside, Dog's Way Home, Replicas, or any other movies that you may have saw this weekend? Please let us know in the comments below. Also, let me know your own thoughts on the Aquaman movie. If you want to see some more breakdown of the overall score, of overall just calling out the shills that just tore this movie apart, go check out my video on the Odin's Movie Vlog channel. That's going to be dropping, should have already dropped actually at this point by the time this video goes live. But seriously, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. You're an all amazing and beautiful people. Have a great day, and as always, God bless! Don't worry, I didn't forget about y'all. Have a good one, guys.